The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers tease that the battle for Liam's heart isn't over just yet. An official CBS B&B survey has been making the rounds and it suggests a continued love triangle. In this survey, the show wanted viewers to chime in on which Liam pairing was their favorite. Stephie and Hope were both options. Of course, that indicates that Loeb isn't all that solid. The Bold and the Beautiful is willing to shift gears if fans prefer steam. There are supporters on both sides of this war, so it's good that B&B's asking for input from viewers. People who watch regularly deserve a chance to have their say and hopefully influence the direction of the story. However, the situation could be tricky. Many Bold and the Beautiful fans also love Stephy's decision to choose herself. The ratings spiked a bit thanks to Stephy's independent streak and viewers were really rooting for her on social media. It was nice to see Stephie take a step back and focus on herself for once. She's made mistakes, but Liam and Bill still didn't treat her right. On the other hand, Stephie can't stay single forever. B&B can ride this single Stephie wave for a while, but she'll inevitably end up in another love story eventually. Romantic stories are the driving force of the CBS soap. Since Stephie's one of the leading female characters, love should be in the air for her again soon. It's worth noting that the survey didn't mention the option of bringing in new characters. The Bold and the Beautiful may want to stick with the characters they currently have on canvas. There are several key players who could use more airtime anyway. Bill and Stephie were still a possible pairing in this survey, so that's good to keep in mind. Nevertheless, the Bold and the Beautiful spoilers point to trouble for Liam and Hope. When you combine that with the survey hints, maybe that means the steam train's about to roll back in. It sounds like some exciting things are brewing on B&B, so don't miss what's in store. We'll give you updates as other news comes in. In the CEO's office, Hope said she'd never take her ring off again. She was much more comfortable with the ring Liam had picked out for her than the one he'd gotten for Stephie. Hope couldn't believe it was finally happening, and Liam replied the baby made 3. Stephie slipped away from the office door. Hope decided to head home to tell her mother the news. Liam had a couple things to check for the website but said they could do dinner out later. He decided to go with Hope to walk her out of the building. Once Hope and Liam had gone down the corridor, Stephie slipped into her office. She said that Liam had forgotten his phone. He entered the room, saw her holding it, and said he'd just been returning for it. Liam saw tears on Stephie's face. She pretended nothing was wrong, but when he pressed, she said she'd seen him propose to Hope. Stephie didn't blame Hope for not wanting to wear Stephie's ring. Giving the ring back, Liam said it had been a beautiful gesture. Stephie got that it hadn't been her place and wondered if Kelly would want the ring someday. Liam thought it was a good idea and said they'd all be okay. Stephie knew it, but it was hard to accept a future alone with Kelly while Liam moved on with Hope and her baby. It was the right choice for Stephie but the hardest thing she'd ever do. She said she wouldn't look back. Stephie said that too much had happened, and it couldn't be taken back. She wished she could take things back. I never would have gone to your father. I would have stayed by your side, she said. Liam replied that he knew. Stick it out. Talk it through. Hold each other even when it seems impossible, Stephie stated. She wanted that for Liam and Hope. Liam thanked Stephie. He wanted it for her and the right man when she was ready, and he was glad that she'd figured out that it hadn't been his father. Stephie said she didn't know what she'd been thinking, she'd just been in shock after seeing Liam with Hope. Liam said Stephie wished she could take back the night in the guest house, and he wished he could take back Stephie seeing him with Hope and any other time he'd hurt Stephie. She replied that they'd hurt each other too much, but they had to be the best example for their daughter. It would be only love, even when they were apart, and they'd always have that. Stephie was glad to have her ring back. It was part of her and Liam's history, and Kelly deserved to have it. Stephie felt that Kelly deserved to know that she hadn't been a mistake, and her parents had been meant to be for a short time. Liam said they'd make sure Kelly knew, and they had stories, their wedding being one. A flashback played of the Australia wedding. Liam said that they didn't have to sweep it under the rug or pretend it hadn't been real. He thought they should keep their story alive for Kelly. Stephie decided to keep her ring in a safe place until she could give it to Kelly one day. Liam didn't think there was a better role model for Kelly than Stephie, the tough, single, working mother. He'd never seen anyone more prepared for what life threw at her, and he believed Kelly would soak it up. Stephie asserted that Kelly's mama didn't need a man to define her. Liam said Kelly wouldn't, either, but just because mama didn't need a man didn't mean that mama didn't have one. Liam stated that he was a phone call away. He wasn't going anywhere because they were family, even if a non-conventional one. Liam fantasized about watching Kelly grow up. He said she'd meet a man, have kids, and make him and Stephie grandparents. He was amazed that he and Stephie would share in it. He said he would think about what could have been, but he'd always love Stephie, respect her, and be grateful that Stephie was the mother of his daughter. In Brooke's bedroom, Brooke and Ridge were in bed. Brooke pulled the silk boxers from beneath the covers and said she'd order plenty of them for her handsome man. Ridge replied that he'd only wear them in their bedroom. She called him the sexiest man in the room. Noting that he was the only man in the room, he told her trust him, that no one needed to see that. Ridge wished he could go back and tell the young Ridge that everything would work out okay. Brooke assumed he meant with their relationship. He said with that and everything. She stated that, even in hard times, they had to remember that there were moments like this one. Ridge thought it was cruel that he'd worn Brooke's bedroom in Brooke's bedroom. Brooke noted that it hadn't been called that in a while, but he said that the subsequent name, intimates, didn't have the same feel. Brooke replied that Brooke's bedroom had always been their haven for peace. Ridge said they'd always find a place to block at the world. Brooke wondered if it would be that way even if Liam and Hope were starting a life together. "Yeah, I wish for that. I really do," Ridge responded. Later, Brooke was dressed, and Hope entered the room. Ridge, also dressed, exited the bathroom, and Hope wondered if she'd interrupted them. Brooke said they'd just been deciding what to do about dinner, and Ridge asked if Hope would join them. Hope said she'd be having dinner with Liam later to celebrate. Hope held up her hand, and Brooke gasped. She asked if it was Hope's ring. Hope replied that she and Liam were officially engaged. Brooke and Hope hugged as Ridge stared at them. Hope appreciated Stephie's ring gesture and Stephie's support. Ridge just hoped they were happy. Brooke said they were, or would be, thanks to Stephie doing what was right. Hope stated that she couldn't be more grateful. Later, Hope and Brooke were alone in the bedroom. Brooke believed Ridge had appreciated what Hope had said about Stephie. Hoping so, Hope stated that she and Stephie had been at odds for too long, they were stepsisters and would be connected by their children, too. Hope believed that she and Stephie wanted peace and would find it. At Bikini Bar, Katie and Thorne arrived after getting off work earlier. They heard some people being loud and wondered if they should sit with the people who knew how to have fun. Seeing that the people were Sally and Wyatt, Katie started to change her mind. However, Wyatt and Sally spotted Katie and Thorne and Wyatt waved them over to the bar. Thorne and Katie joined Sally and Wyatt at the bar. While ordering drinks, Thorne recognized Danny, the bartender, as a new Forrester model. Wyatt said that Thorne and Katie looked good, and Katie replied in kind. Wyatt said she seemed happy, and she indicated that she was. He slowly nodded. Wyatt asked if Thorne had gotten Bill's approval, and Thorne quipped that it was the first thing he'd done. Wyatt thought Katie was lucky that Bill couldn't disown her, and she replied that they were all lucky that none of them had to worry about getting Bill's approval. Katie asked why Wyatt made dating choices that would set Bill's hair on fire. Wyatt pretended not to know what Katie meant. She said that he'd dated Bill's ex-wife and then moved on to date the woman on top of whom Bill had blown up a building. Katie asked where Wyatt would go from there. Sally asked why Wyatt had to go anywhere and said this might be it. Wyatt stated that it might be so for all of them. As Wyatt paid his tab, Thorne wondered why Wyatt and Sally were leaving when the sun hadn't set. Thorne said the night was still young. Wyatt hoped Katie and Thorne would enjoy the night as much as Sally and Wyatt intended to, and Wyatt and Sally took off. Thorne asked if it bothered Katie that Wyatt had moved on. Katie replied that she'd be hypocritical if it did because she'd moved on, too. Danny remarked that Wyatt and Sally could be rowdy at times. Katie asked how rowdy Thorne wanted to get. "Check, please." Thorne exclaimed.